All right, guys, welcome into 435 with J Ram. First thing before we get started, I want to apologize for not being able to do a show last week. We had the holidays going on, of course, with Thanksgiving, Christmas decorating, family, all kinds of stuff going on. So, sorry we didn't get to do a show last week. I hate we didn't get to do one, so I guess we call it our bye week. But thank y'all for tuning in. It's good to be back. We've been dealing with a lot. Sorry we did not do a show again last week. So we're back. It's time to do some college football discussion, shall we? Let's take a look back at what happened over the weekend. All right, guys. So, rivalry weekend, one of my favorite weekends of the year. I think most people would say that as well. We'll start with what happened on Black Friday. Let's look at a few of the games. Ole Miss 38, Mississippi State 19 in the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss obviously been in the news for way more than that, but we'll talk about that next week. Trinidad Chambliss goes off with a great game, 359 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns. One of the SEC Offensive Player of the Week. He had a hell of a game. Keywan Lacey runs for 143 and a touchdown. Deuce Alexander 94 yards receiving and a touchdown. TJ Daugherty and Kapina Kashikin both had 9 total tackles. They were the leading tacklers. Ole Miss defense got 3 sacks. Prince Will Yuma, I can't say his last name, Yuma Leon had a interception. Ole Miss outgained State 545 to 440 in this football game. Mississippi State, to their credit, 262 rushing, but a lot of it was their quarterback. 11 combined penalties. Mississippi State had 1 turnover, but Ole Miss outthrew them 359 to 178. Ole Miss took control of this game in the second half and didn't look back. So, Ole Miss finishes the regular season 11-1, 7-1 in the SEC. They, of course, are not going to the SEC championship, but they should be good to go as far as the college football playoff goes. So that is that. All right, next up, let's take a look at what happened in Atlanta. Georgia 16, Georgia Tech 9. This was a low scoring game. Well, not quite the 8 overtime classic that they had last year. Gunnar Stockton, not his best game. He threw for 70 yards while running for 42. Leading rusher was Nate Frazier. He had 108 yards rushing. Zachariah Branch, 53 yards through the air, caught him a touchdown. Georgia's defense leading tackler was KJ Bolden. He had 9 total, 5 solo. Also a pass deflected. Ellis Robertson, the fourth, had a pick for Georgia. Not a lot of offense in this game, though. The total yards was 260 to 250 in favor of Georgia. Georgia Tech outpassed them 181 to 70. Georgia won the rushing game, which is something Kirby Smart obviously thrives upon, 190 to 69. Both teams had 5 penalties, turned the ball over once. Georgia won the time of possession 35-21 to 24-39. So Georgia kind of controlled the game, but they got it done. Nice win for Georgia, 16-9. They finished 11-1, also 7-1 in the SEC. They are going to the SEC championship game Saturday against Alabama. We will pick that game, obviously, here in a little while. All right, moving on. Another rivalry game. This one, not many are going to talk about, but I think this is a good one. I think it's underrated. The Territorial Cup, Arizona night 23, Arizona State 7. Great job by Brent Brennan's crew. They finished the season at 9-3. Good year for Arizona. Noah Fafita throws for 286 and a touchdown. Leading receiver was Chris Hudson. He had 7 catches for 95 yards. Ismail Mahdi was the leading rusher, but he only had 53 yards. Arizona only run for 88 yards total. On defense, Max Harris, 7 total tackles, 2 solos, a tackle for loss. But Arizona's defense forced 3 big-time interceptions that kind of contributed to the win. You can't win football games with 3 turnovers. Of course, Arizona State's been on a backup quarterback for several weeks now since Sam Levitt was knocked out for the year. Arizona outgained them 374 to 214. So nice job there. Outpassed them 286 to 114. Arizona State with the fumbles, also 5 turnovers for the Sun Devils. You're not going to win football games with 5 turnovers. It's very rare. Time of possession, though, huge stat here. Arizona kept the ball for 40 minutes and 1 second, 40:01. Arizona State, 19 minutes, 59 seconds. So Arizona controlled this football game big time with the time of possession. But great job by Brent Brennan's crew. They finished the season 9-3 and await their bowl trip. Arizona State 8-4. They'll still get a good little bowl trip out of this whole situation. All right, one more game from Friday on Black Friday. Of course, it's the Lone Star Showdown. Let's go to Austin, Texas. Texas 27, Texas A&M 17. I did not. I should have seen this coming, but I didn't. I thought A&M would win this football game, but A&M had a bad game. They had a bad night. Marcel Reed only threw for 180, threw 2 interceptions. But Texas, Arch Manning 179 and a score through the air. Quintrevion Wisner run for 155. Guys, I apologize. I don't have my notes with me like I normally do, so I'm doing my notes off my phone. But Wisner runs for 155. Jack Andrews has 4 catches for 93 yards. Michael Taffy and Kobe Black had 2 interceptions apiece for the. I mean, both had an interception for the Texas defense. But this was a great win for Texas. Longhorns finished 9-3, trying. If you've heard Sark, he is politicking like crazy for his team to get into the playoff. I don't think they will, but you never know. That loss to Florida should keep them out, but we'll see. Texas outgained A&M 397 to 337. They outrushed them 218 to 157. 15 total penalties, 8 for A&M, 7 for Texas. A key stat here also 2 turnovers, both the interceptions Marcel Reed threw. A&M, you can't win football games obviously with multi turnovers like that. So Texas gets the win 27 to 17. All right. Let's move to some of the Saturday games, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, the streak is over. Ohio State finally breaks the streak, 27-9. The final score is they knock off Michigan in Ann Arbor and snowy Ann Arbor. That was beautiful. I love the snow. It looks so cool up there. Cold, snowy. That's football weather. I'm sorry. I might get laughed at for saying that, but cold and snowy, that's football weather. Anyway, Julian Sangos, good game, 233 through the air, 3 touchdowns. Bo Jackson, 22 carries for 117. Cornell Tate was the leading receiver with 5 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. On defense, Sonny Styles had 6 total tackles, 3 solos, a tackle for loss. Davison Igbinosun, I'm sorry if I say that name wrong, he had an interception for the Buckeyes defense. But this game was dominated by Ohio State. First downs 22-9, Ohio State. Total yards 419 to 163. Passing yards 233 to 63, which Michigan's not a great pass team as we know. Buckeyes outrushed them 186 to 100. The only thing Michigan won in this football game was the penalty battle because Ohio State had 6 penalties, Michigan had 1. And time of possession, Ohio State 40 minutes and 1 second. Michigan 19 minutes and 59 seconds. So great job by Ohio State. They controlled this game and they just shut Michigan down. They pay them back, finally breaking the streak, 27-9. Ohio State will go on to the Big Ten championship game Saturday night in Indianapolis against Indiana. I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind already. We'll pick that game here in a little while. Okay, next up, how about Oregon 26, Washington 14 in the Battle of the Northwest between these two rivals. Ducks had to fight for this one. Shout out to the special teams. Not going to hear me talk about that much here, but they've got a really good kicker, Atticus Sappington. He had 4 of 4. His field goals, long of 51, made both extra points. He actually was 14 of Oregon's 26 points. Dante Moore, 286 through the air with a touchdown. Noah Whittington was the leading rusher at 47 yards. Malik Benson, 5 catches for 102 and a touchdown, leading receiver for the Ducks. On defense, Oregon, 4 sacks by their defense, 6 tackles for loss. Dylan Thiemann had a good game, 7 total tackles, 4 solos, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Really good defensive back for the Ducks. Oregon outgained them 392 to 283. Washington turned the ball over twice. Oregon 34 minutes 58 seconds with the ball. Washington 25:02. Oregon finishes 11-1, 8-1 in the Big Ten. They won't go to the Big Ten championship, but they should definitely be in the playoff. Okay, next up, excuse me, Oklahoma 17, LSU 13. Not the prettiest game by all means, but hey, somebody had to win it, and it was not a bad game to watch, especially if you like good defense. Oklahoma, championship-worthy defense, I think we can all say. I don't know about I wouldn't say it for the offense, but defense, yeah. But John Mateer, not horrible. He threw for 318 yards and 2 scores. Problem is, he threw 3 interceptions. Too many turnovers. Torrey Blaylock run for 42. Isaiah Satekna, the third, 9 catches for 121 and a touchdown. He did a great job for Oklahoma in the receiving game. Kendall Daniels and Owen Heineke were the leading tacklers with 7 total apiece. Daniels had 5 solo. Heineke had 4. Oklahoma 5 tackles for loss as a unit. Peyton Bowen had a big interception that helped Oklahoma seal the win. As far as overall, though, the lack of offense for LSU showed here big time. Oklahoma outgained them 393 to 198. Third down, both teams are struggling in that in this ball game. Oklahoma 4-15, LSU 2 of 14. Penalties, OU 8, LSU 4. Oklahoma turned the ball over, like I said, 3 times, but it didn't matter. Yeah. So Oklahoma gets the win 17-13. Sooners finish a strong season at 10-2 that many probably didn't see coming, but Oklahoma 10-win season, 10-2, 6-2 in the SEC, and should definitely be have punched their ticket to the college football playoff and possibly a home playoff game. All right, let's head up to Knoxville. Vanderbilt 45, Tennessee 24. Great job by Diego Pavia and the Commodores. He goes off again, throwing for 268 and a touchdown, rushing for 165 and a touchdown. He did throw 2 interceptions, but another game with I think over 400 plus yards of offense. He's making his case for the Heisman Trophy, as you all know. Cedric Alexander, also a good game, 115 yards rushing. He had 3 touchdowns by himself for Vandy. Vandy rushed the ball for 314, passed for 265, totaling 579 yards of offense. They just annihilated Tennessee on their home field. Annihilated them. On defense, Vanderbilt had 4 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. Nick Rinaldi, 6 total, 4 solo. He had a sack, a tackle for loss. Brian Longwell, 6 total, 4 solo, a sack, and 1.5 tackles for loss. But Vanderbilt just took Tennessee to the woodshed in this game. 579 to 382 in total yards. 314 to 83 in rushing yards. Vanderbilt annihilated them running the football. 34 minutes, 59 seconds with time of possession. Tennessee 0 for 2 on 4th downs. Vanderbilt didn't try one. So, big win here for Vandy. They finished the season 10-2. I think this is the first time they've had a 10-win season since, the 1920s, I believe. But probably not going to be in the playoff, unfortunately. They're just too far down. I think they're 14th now in the rankings. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But good season for Vandy. They finished 10-2, and we'll see what happens. All right, next up, let's go to Tuscaloosa. The Iron Bowl never disappoints. Alabama 27, Auburn 20. Came down to the very end. Auburn was driving. We thought they fumbled it away. They kept the ball, and a Hail Mary just came up short. Ty Simpson, not a great game. Some think he's regressing. 122 yards. But he did throw 3 touchdowns, so that's not bad. 3 touchdown passes. Jam Miller run for 83 yards. Leading receiver was Isaiah Horton. He only had 35 yards, but he caught 3 touchdowns on 5 catches. So, still not bad. Defensively, James Smith, 5 tackles, 5 solos, a sack, tackle for loss. Yeah. Alabama gets it done, though. They hang on to win it 27-20. Alabama got up on this game 17-0, and it felt like it was going to be a boat race. But Auburn came back. Auburn Magic. Auburn actually outgained Alabama 411 to 280. They outpassed them 259 to 122. Third downs, Auburn 8 of 19, Alabama 4 of 17. But Alabama was 3 of 3 on fourth downs, including a very gutsy 4th and 2 call in the red zone that led to a touchdown. Auburn turned the ball over twice also in this game. Alabama 34-29 time of possession. But Alabama gets it done. They hang on 27-20 to continue their winning streak in the Iron Bowl. They will go on to the SEC championship game Saturday against Georgia and should be in the playoff. Now, if they lose to Georgia, who knows? But Alabama gets it done 27-20. All right, 3 more games, and we're going to take a quick break. Virginia 27, Virginia Tech 7. The Cavaliers take home in the Commonwealth Cup again over the Hokies. Virginia Tech a tough year, 3-9, but with James Franklin on the way as the new head coach, exciting times. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, Virginia gets it done. They punched their ticket to the ACC championship game with a 10-2 record. Their quarterback Chandler Morris passed for 182. Jamari Taylor, their running back, runs for 80 yards and a touchdown. He also threw a touchdown. Leading receiver was Cameron Courtney, 50 yards. On defense, Maddox Marcellus, 9 total tackles, 3 solos, tackle for loss. Virginia got to the quarterback twice, but did force 2 interceptions. Maddox Marcellus and Antonio Clary had those respective interceptions for the Cavaliers. This really wasn't much of a game. Virginia outgains them 380-197, outpasses them 183-78, outrushes them 197-119. 2 turnovers. Virginia kept the ball for 36 minutes and 56 seconds. But anyway, Duke gets the win 27-7. They go on to the ACC title game on Saturday night against Duke. You heard that right, against Duke. Anyway. All right, let's talk about Miami. Miami 38, Pitt 7, Canes. Some people had them on upset alert. Yours truly here thought they may not be able to handle the cold in Pittsburgh. I was wrong, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. They destroyed Pittsburgh. Carson Beck throws for 267, 3 touchdowns. Gerard Pringle Jr., 82 yards on the ground. Malachi Tony, great game for this young man. 13 catches for 126 and a touchdown. On defense, the Canes got 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. Ruben Bain Jr., one of the best defensive ends in the country. 5 tackles, 4 solos, 1.5 sacks. 1.5 tackles for loss for himself. Miami just destroyed Pittsburgh. This was a butt kicking. They outgained Pitt 416-229. First downs 28-11. Outrushed them 140-30, which Pitt's not a great running team, but they outpassed them 276-199. Pitt had 9 penalties in this game also, and Miami kept the ball for 35-55. So the Canes get the win. They finished 10-2. They will not play in the ACC championship because of the tiebreaker procedures and everything. Both their losses also were in conference play against Louisville and SMU. But Miami's going to be a bubble team, so we'll see what happens come Selection Sunday with the Hurricanes. All right, one more game we're going to touch on real quick. Notre Dame gets it done over Stanford, 49-20. Irish dominated again. Jeremiah Love did get injured. We'll keep an eye on his status, but he finished the game still with 66 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Carr had a great game, throwing for 205 and 2 scores. Aeneas Williams, 83 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Touchdown catches for Jadarian Price, Jordan Faison, and Luke Talich. Kenny Machini had a fumble. Oh, sorry. On defense, Drake Brown, 7 total, 3 solo, half a sack, half a tackle for loss. And Notre Dame wins this game 49-20. Leonard Moore with the interception for the Irish defense. They outgained Stanford here 524-312. Outrushed them 187-86. Stanford had only 1 turnover. But Notre Dame gets it done. Irish finished 10-2 on the season. Their resume is complete. We'll see if they get in the playoff. There's obviously the huge debate about them in Miami. So we'll see what happens. All right. Let's do Players of the Week. We didn't do these last week, obviously, because we didn't have a show, but they are up on my Facebook group called College Football The Spread Discussion. Here we go. All right. Players of the Week. We've got, hope I can read my screen from this far. Jaden Ball, running back at Florida. This young man, he went off for Florida against Florida State. He runs 38 carries for 268, 7 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Brad Jackson, the Texas State quarterback, had a heck of a game against South Alabama. Throws for 280, 2 scores, runs for 113 and 3 more scores, totaling 393 and 5 scores. Diego Pavia, of course, 268 a score, 165 rushing a score, 433 total, and 2 scores for Vanderbilt in the win over Tennessee. North Texas running back Caleb Hawkins against Temple, another monster game for him. He runs for 186 and 4 touchdowns. Also had 2 catches for 28 yards. That's like his third game with like 4 touchdowns this year. Dude's a beast at running back. Joe Jackson of Kansas State, he runs for 142 and 3 scores in K-State's win over Colorado. FIU receiver Alex Perry, 7 catches for 140 and 2 touchdowns for FIU in their win over Sam Houston State. Oops, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry about that. That's the wrong one. Here we go. Camden Brown, wide receiver at Georgia Southern. He had 9 catches for 157 and 2 scores and their win over Marshall. Penn State running back Katron Allen, 226 on the ground and a score in their win over Rutgers. South Florida quarterback Byron Brown, 379 total yards, 5 scores for the Bulls in their win over Rice. And La Tech quarterback Trey Cook, I hope I said that right. He runs for 172 and 3 scores and passes for 87, and the Bulldogs win over Missouri State. All right, so that is offense. Now, let's take a look at our defensive players of the week, shall we? Starting with Bowling Green DB MJ Cannon, 7 total tackles, 4 solo, a sack. Hang on here. Sorry about this, guys. I just realized we may have a little bit of an issue. Let's see. Oh, no, that's right. Okay. Cal linebacker Chris Victor against SMU, 7 total tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Louisville linebacker TJ Quinn against Kentucky, 10 total tackles, 6 solos, 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss, pass deflection, and their win over arch rival Kentucky. Clemson D lineman TJ Parker, 4 total, 2 solo, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and their win over South Carolina. Ryan Davis, defensive end of Kansas State, against Colorado, 6 total, 5 solo, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. I didn't realize my list was this long. Oh well. Caleb Bacon, linebacker at Iowa State, 7 total tackles, all solo, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and Iowa State's win over Oklahoma State. Appalachian State defensive lineman Kevin Abrams, 10 total sack tackles, 8 solo, 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss, in their winner in their game against Arkansas State. Okay, and to finish out, UL Lafayette linebacker Jaden Duggar, 16 total tackles, 10 solos, 2 sacks, 3.5 tackles for loss. And Minnesota DB John Nestor in their win over Wisconsin for Paul Bunyan's Axe, cool trophy, 9 total tackles, 7 solo, fumble recovery, and 2 interceptions. All right, special teams. These are special teams players of the week. Hopefully we don't put you to sleep here. Jack Bumaster, the Texas punter, he had 7 punts, 48.9 yard average, a touchback, 3 inside the 20, long of 58, and the win over A&M. We've got Georgia duo of kicker Peyton Woodring and punter Brett Thorson. Woodring made all 3 field goals, long of 50, made an extra point, 10 points. He scored 10 of Georgia's 16 points. Thorson, 4 punts, 51.3 yard average, a touchback, 1 inside the 20, long of 61. Oregon kicker Addis Sappington, we just talked about him in the Washington game. 4 of 4 on his field goals, 2 of 2 extra points. He scored 14 points, 14 of Oregon's 26, that is. Oklahoma punter Grayson Miller, 7 punts, 43.1 yard average. He had a touchback, 2 inside the 20, long of 56. Louisville punter David Chapu, 4 punts, 45 yard average. All 4 went inside the 20, long of 62. Delaware kicker Nate Reeds. We actually got a Delaware sighting on this show. 4 of 4 field goals, all 7 extra points. He scored 19 points in their 61 points against UTEP. All right. A couple of returners actually here. We got Devin Gandy, kick returner at Louisiana Tech. He had 3 returns, 43.7-yard average, a touchdown. Texas State kick returner Jalen Jenkins, 3 returns, 46.3-yard average. He had a 100-yard touchdown return. Ashton Logan, Middle Tennessee punter, 7 punts, 47.6-yard average, a touchback, 5 inside the 20, long of 63. And finally, Billy Gowers, punter of Hawaii. He had a good game, 4 punts, 55.3-yard average, 2 inside the 20, long of 63. All right, so that's a wrap on players of the week. Let's do J-Rams top 25. Now remember, this is just my poll. This ain't no credible, reliable poll. This is just my rankings. These teams just missed my top 25. Iowa, Houston, and Missouri. All are very good teams and could very well be ranked. Houston finished 9-3. Missouri was 8-4. Iowa 8-4 after their win over Nebraska. Here's J-Rams top 25. Number 25, I've got Navy back in after the win over Memphis. They are 9-2. They still, of course, got the game with Army coming up in a couple of weeks. Can't wait for that. Georgia Tech hanging at 24. I got Tennessee 23. Probably should have dropped them out, but I decided to keep them for now. Arizona 22. Hello, G5. We've got Tulane at 21st. North Texas at 20. Cannot wait for that American Championship game tomorrow night. Michigan is 19. I've got USC at 18. James Madison says hello at 17. I'm probably a little higher on the Dukes than everybody else. I think they're the best G5 team, but that's just me. Texas is 16. They could be higher, but I'm still a little iffy about them being higher, especially since the Florida loss. Virginia's 15. Utah 14. We got Miami 13. I've got Vanderbilt 12. BYU's 11th. Alabama 10. Oklahoma 9. I've got Notre Dame checking in at 8. I dropped. I didn't know how far I was going to drop A&M after the Texas loss, but I decided to put them at 7. Texas Tech 6. Ole Miss is 5th. Oregon 4. Georgia 3. And, of course, Indiana's 2. And number 1, unquestioned, Ohio State. All right, we got one more rankings. Regular season is over, so it is time for the final bottom 10. Number 10 is Arkansas at 2-10 after the loss to Mizzou. Middle Tennessee checks in at 9. I've got Boston College checking in at 8. Purdue is 7. I think Middle Tennessee's 3-9. I don't know why it says 2-10. Purdue is 2-10. Colorado State checks in at 6. Oregon State 5th. Oklahoma State 4. At that 1-11 disaster. Georgia State 3. Charlotte checks in at number 2. If you can see it, yes, there is a tie for number 1. I had to give a special shout out to Lane Kiffin. I am an Ole Miss fan, but I'm not going to rant and rave about it. We'll talk about head coaching changes next week. But Lane Kiffin is up there. And, of course, number 1, the only team in the country who did not win a football game at FBS level, UMass. The UMass Minutemen finished 0-12. 0-8 in the MAC. What do you want me to say? They were the worst team in America, period. Congrats, UMass. You are our 2025 bottom 10 national champions on my poll. Still potato chips and soda for everyone. But anyway, congratulations. But UMass is the national champions as far as bottom 10 goes. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we come back. We're going to talk some D2, D3, and FCS ball real quick. All right, guys, welcome back to 4th and 25. All right, so let's do let's take a quick look at the D3 playoffs. I need to make sure I've got the right one up here real quick before we keep rolling. Let's see. Okay, so the D3 playoffs are entering week 3 this coming weekend. Here's just a quick rundown of what happened across the weekend in the second round. John Carroll beat Remagen. Wisconsin lacrosse, as you see, Eastern, Salisbury, Mount Union, the dominant program, Berry, Susquehanna, Johns Hopkins, Trinity, Texas, Wisconsin Plateau, DePaul, St. John's, Minnesota, Wheaton, North Central, Bethel, Minnesota, and Wisconsin River Falls all advanced. Next weekend, this coming weekend, is going to be the next round of their playoff. We will have. There we go. Hey, where'd it go? Oh, sorry. Hit the wrong button. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so this weekend, third round, we've got John Carroll's at Mount Union. You got Wheaton at DePaul, Salisbury at Johns Hopkins, Susquehanna at Eastern, Trinity, Texas is at Berry, St. John's, Minnesota at Wisconsin River Falls, Wisconsin, I can't read that, at North Central Illinois and Wisconsin Plateau at Bethel, Minnesota. My money is North Central and Mount Union. They're the most dominant D3 football programs there is. So that's who I put my money on to make it to the championship. All right, let's go to Division 2. We'll take a quick look at what happened last weekend in their playoffs, in their second round. Kutztown moved on. Ferris State moved on. As you see, Albany State moved on. Harding moved on. Frostburg, Minnesota State, Newberry, and UT Permian Basin all moved on. So I don't have an image, but I'll read these quarterfinal matchups for you real quick. We've got Frostburg will be at Kutztown. We got Minnesota State at Ferris State. That should be a good game. Newberry is at Albany State, and then UT Permian Basin is at Harding. I'm going to pick Ferris State to win the championship. I think Ferris State and Harding would be a good bet if they're on the same, not on the same side of the bracket. I'll have to look at that, but my money's on Ferris State to win the D2 championship. All right, and then finally, well, I thought I had the FCS up here. I thought I had the FCS logo. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so I don't have it, but I'll just read it out to you real quick. FCS playoffs started last weekend with the first round. Yale comes back from down 20-something points and beats Youngstown 43-42. Villanova crushed Harvard 52-7. Rhode Island beat Central Connecticut 27-9. Abilene Christian over Lamar 38-20. Kind of a surprise here. Illinois State went into Hammond and beat Southeast Louisiana 21-3. North Dakota beat Tennessee Tech 31-6. That was another surprise on the road. South Dakota State beat New Hampshire 41-3. South Dakota beat Drake 38-17 to move on. Now this weekend, second round, here are the 8 games. I'll read them out to you real quick. Villanova at Lehigh. South Dakota's at Mercer. Remember, the top 8 get a first round bye in this playoff. Illinois State at North Dakota State. North Dakota at Tarleton State. We've got Yale at Montana State. South Dakota State at Montana. Abilene Christian at Stephen F. Austin. And then Rhode Island at UC Davis. All right. So that's just a quick rundown of the lower level playoff games for you. All right. Next up, let's take a look at the college football playoff rankings. Here is the new CFP Top 25. As you see, obviously the first question was how far do you drop A&M after the loss to Texas. As you see here, they are number 7. Kind of about what I expected. Some I think were expecting 6th, but it is what it is. James Madison, hello, welcome aboard. You're finally ranked. You're 25th. You got North Texas coming in finally at 24th. Iowa comes in. They're 23rd. Georgia Tech 22nd. Houston's back in at 21st. Tulane, the highest G5 team, they are at 20th. Michigan, Arizona, Virginia. Let's see. I just realized something. All right, Virginia 17th, USC at 16. Utah dropped to 15. Utah wins their game on Black Friday and drops a few spots. That's crazy. Vanderbilt moves up after the dominating win over Tennessee. Texas. Okay, so we got Texas checking in at 13. They move up after the A&M win. I still think that they're not going to get in, but we'll see. Miami 12th. BYU at 11th. Notre Dame at 10. Okay, so BYU, of course, plays Texas Tech in the Big 12 Championship on Saturday. We will pick that game here shortly. A BYU loss, and then Miami and Notre Dame are side by side. The argument and debate is going to pick up. They're very even in so many numbers and the stats and all the other stuff that goes into deciding this. And remember, Miami beat Notre Dame week 1. It was a really good game. I think if they played now, I would pick Notre Dame to win. But anyway, so the Miami-Notre Dame debate is going to really pick up this weekend. Notre Dame could be in big trouble. We'll see, but they could be in trouble. Alabama checks in 9. Oklahoma is 8. Some people are also upset, I think, that Bama jumped Notre Dame, but it is what it is. Oklahoma's 8, A&M 7. Ole Miss moves up a spot to 6 despite losing their coach and a few other coaches. Thank you, committee, because I was scared they were going to screw us. Oregon is 5th. Texas Tech is 4th. Georgia 3rd. No surprise. Indiana 2. Ohio State number 1. Okay, so the ACC, could they get left out? If Virginia loses to Duke in that championship game on Saturday night, Virginia's out. No way in heck Duke is going to be a 5-loss team, and they're going to be in this top 25 and be one of the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. There's no way. The American, Tulane, and North Texas play each other Friday night for the title. One of them's going. If Duke beats Virginia, James Madison's in, if they win the Sun Belt Championship, which I think they will. JMU will be in. So there's your first nightmare scenario. You could have 2 G5 teams in this playoff and no ACC team if Miami doesn't get in. I don't think people thought about that when this playoff was invented. But it's crazy to think that 2 G5 teams could realistically get into this playoff. Nothing against the G5, but, you know. Miami, Notre Dame, obviously a big debate. Alabama, if they beat Georgia in the SEC championship on Saturday, are they going to move up into the top 4? Some people think yes. I don't know if that's 100% guaranteed, but that's just my opinion. If they lose, do they fall out? Even if Georgia beat them like 49-10, which I don't think it'll be that bad. But is Alabama going to fall out of the top 10? And are they going to fall out of the playoff? If you go 10-3 and you lose the SEC championship, could you be dropped? SEC offices might riot if that happens. So, not sure. But anyway, we've got a lot of scenarios that could come into play as we head into the final weekend, as we head into conference championship weekend. But this is your current top 25. Cannot wait for Selection Sunday. I've got a feeling there's going to be some chaos. All right. Next up, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to pick these conference championship games. So we will see you guys in just a minute.
To hate, Andrew Anderson, stating truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast, like a punch right to your face. College sports villain, taking it over the place. I bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. I rock in my veins, rebellious to the core. I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the podcast world, that's me. Unleashing the truth, setting it all free.
All right, guys, welcome back to Fourth and 25. Real quick, a programming note for this show. Next week, we will talk about the coaching carousel, all the head coaching changes and everything. We're pushing it back a week because Penn State still doesn't have a coach. Kansas State has just lost their coach as Chris Klieman has retired, so that's two openings. Memphis does not have a coach yet. Tulane does not have a coach yet. So that's four jobs I know of that are open. But next week we'll talk about all the coaching changes because hopefully by then they'll all be filled. Lane Kiffin to LSU, John Summerall to Florida, Alex Golesh to Auburn, Ron Silverfield to Arkansas, Bob Chesney to UCLA. We'll talk about all those next week because hopefully by then Penn State and these other schools who still need coaches will have their crap together and have a new coach. So we're going to save that for next week. All right, let's get this rolling into our final segment. It's conference championship. It's conference championship weekend. We've got 9 games we're going to pick. Here they are. Also, the SWAC championship is this weekend. I want to give a shout out to the SWAC. We have a school here in Mississippi that's playing in the SWAC championship. That, of course, being Jackson State against Prairie View. I am going to take Jackson State to win that football game. So, best of luck to my Mississippi school. But anyway, all right, let's go and pick these 9 FBS conference championship games. We're going to start with the 4 games that are Friday. There's 4 of these games on Friday, and then the rest are on Saturday. Friday night, Conference USA Championship. Kennesaw State headed to Jacksonville State. Shout out to the Kennesaw State Owls, their second year in the conference, and they're playing for a championship. Their head coach just won Conference USA Coach of the Year today. Big shout out to him. This should be a fun game. Here's the matchup. Offensively, let's look at the offenses. Scoring offense, Kennesaw State 59th, Jacksonville State's 46th. Both are in the top 45 in total yards. Passing offense, Kennesaw State's 52nd. They're 63rd in rushing. Jacksonville State is 118th passing, but that's because they are a run-first, run-heavy team. They still kind of keep their offense like when Rich Rod was there. They're third in the country in rushing at 262.3 yards per game. Third down conversions, 61st for Kennesaw, Jacksonville 77th. Fourth down, conversion rate, Jacksonville State 43rd, Kennesaw State 55th. Time of possession, Jacksonville State is 49th at 30 minutes, 34 seconds. Kennesaw State's 115th. Defense, yeah. Defenses are not very pleasing for these two teams. Scoring defense, Kennesaw State's 72nd, 25.1 points per game. Jacksonville State's 80th. You look at total defense, Jacksonville State's 91st, Kennesaw State's 107. Both are in the hundreds in pass defense. Rushing defense, this will obviously be a little sorry, but Kennesaw State's 97th, and like I said, Jacksonville's the third best rushing offense, and Jacksonville State's 75th against the run. Okay, so great year for Kennesaw State to get here to this championship game. I don't think any of us thought Jacksonville State was going to get here because of Rich Rod leaving for West Virginia. We thought there'd be so much roster turnover with a new head coach, but they still have Cam Cook, their really good running back. They have a really good quarterback. This offense is still very lethal, and it's at their home field. I think this is going to be a good game, but I'm going to go with the team I trust more in this situation, a little more experienced one. I'm going to take Jacksonville State to repeat as your Conference USA champions. So give me Jacksonville State to win this football game. All right, next up, let's take a look at the Sun Belt Championship. I wish I had a better image, but oh well. We've got Troy and James Madison. This is ESPN 6 o'clock Friday night. By the way, Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State's on CBS Sports at 6. But anyway, 6 o'clock ESPN. We got Troy. We got JMU for the Sun Belt Championship. James Madison, of course. College football playoff hopes are still on the line for them in this game. But you've got to have a little bit of help plus win this game. But let's talk about this. James Madison, this defense, holy cow. It's almost like the Ohio State and G5 defenses. They're 10th in scoring defense, allowing 16 points a game. They're 5th in total defense, allowing 253.5 yards a game. 12th in pass defense. fifth against the run, only allowing 84.7 yards per game. Now, their offense is pretty lethal outside of the passing game. They're 10th in scoring at 37.8 a game, 21st in total, 88th in pass, but they're the sixth best rushing attack in the country at 239.8 yards per game. Third down conversions, they're ninth at 50.3 conversion rate percentage. They're 118th at fourth down. Second in the country in time of possession, too. James Madison likes to keep the ball 34 minutes and 20 seconds per game. Troy, on the other hand, let's look at Troy. Their defense, 63rd scoring, 71st total, 48th against the pass, 96th against the rush. Offense, they're 86th in scoring, 115th in total offense, 83rd passing, 121st rushing. They're only getting 109.2 a game on the ground. Fourth downs, they're 91st. Third downs, they're 47th, 68 time of possession. Troy got into this game as the West Division champion after they beat Southern Miss last week in Hattiesburg, as Southern Miss had an epic collapse from 7-2 to 7-5. They had a chance to go to this championship game, and they had a chance to play James Madison, and of course they blew it. But anyway, Troy, lackluster offense, defense. JMU's on a mission here. They want to win this game. They want to be in the playoff. They're a 23-point favorite here. I'm taking James Madison, and I'm actually going to do a betting prediction here. I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to cover that spread. And by the way, if anybody was wondering, Kennesaw State's a 2.5-point favorite against Jacksonville State, but I'm going against that. So anyway, give me James Madison to win the Sun Belt Championship. All right. 7 o'clock, ABC, another game with playoff ramifications. We got the American Athletic Championship game. We got North Texas. We got Tulane. 7 o'clock in New Orleans. North Texas is a 2.5-point favorite. Both these teams are losing their head coaches. As Eric Morris is leaving North Texas to go to Oklahoma State. And of course, John Summerall is leaving Tulane to head to Florida. But they're both being allowed to finish their seasons with their teams, which is awesome. North Texas has a new coach, Neil Brown. He's on the way, but we'll talk about that next week. All right, North Texas, this offense is insane. Number one scoring offense in America, 46.8 points per game. Number one in total offense at 511.8 a game. Second in passing offense, 325.7 yards per game. 37th in rushing offense. They're 20th in third downs, 15th on fourth down conversion rate. The only thing they're not good on offense is time of possession. They're 112th. Tulane's offense is 61st in scoring, 40th total, 48th passing, 61st rushing. That tells you Tulane's a little more balanced. Third downs, Tulane is 40th in third down conversions, 62nd on fourth, 50th in time of possession. Defense. North Texas's defense. 65th in scoring defense and total defense. They are 10th against the pass, though, so not a bad pass defense. They're only allowing 164.7 yards per game, but they're awful against the run. They're 129th. They're giving up about 208 yards a game rushing. Tulane on defense, 51st scoring, 64th total, 119th in pass defense. That's pretty rough. And Tulane's 31st against the run. So, North Texas, number 2 passing offense. Tulane, number 119 pass defense. That alone is making this easier for me. I'm going to go with the team with the more explosive offense in this football game, and I think y'all know who that is. Like I say, both coaches are leaving. They want to finish their seasons on a great note. They want to, obviously, the winner of this game is going to the playoff. I'm taking North Texas. I'm not betting against that offense. Their running back is absolutely insane. He scored 4 touchdowns in like 4 games, I think, 3 or 4 games. But give me North Texas. I like North Texas here. I think they win this football game, and I think they're going to the playoff. So give me the Mean Green to win in New Orleans. All right, last game on Friday, we've got the Mountain West Championship, 7 o'clock on Fox, live from the Blue Turf in Boise, Idaho. We've got UNLV and Boise State. Boise's 8-4, UNLV's 10-2. Conference championship on the line. So let's look at UNLV. 12th in scoring offense, 15th in total offense, 35th passing the ball, 17th rushing the ball. They are they're actually 21st in third down conversions, 43rd on fourth down, 37th time of possession. Boise's offense, 42nd in scoring, 27th total, 57th passing, 29th rushing. That's respectable. 31st on third down conversions at 45.7%. 82nd on fourth downs, and Boise's eighth in time of possession, 33-21. Offensively, UNLV is the more explosive offense, especially when it comes to running the ball. I mean, they're averaging 204 a game rushing, 204.7. And like I said, 15th in total offense at 463.3 yards per game. Defense. Let's just say Boise's the better defense. They are 55th in scoring, 32nd total. They're 11th against the pass, allowing only 167 a game through the air. They're 87th against the run. That's a little concerning. UNLV's defense is awful. I'm just going to say it. They're awful. 89th in scoring. They're 118th in total defense, 113th stopping the pass, 104th stopping the run. Ooh, this is going to be fun. I'm not going to bet against Boise here. I like UNLV. It's a good football team, but Boise got these two got into this game because there was like a five-way tie for first place in the Mountain West. So the computers had to pick the two teams, and it came down to this. So should be a good game though. I'm very excited to see this game. Boise is a 4.5 point favorite. I'm going to ride with the Broncos. Give me Boise State to win this football game and win another Mountain West championship. All right, so that is all of Friday's games. Let's go to the 5 games that are on Saturday. We're going to start in Detroit with our last G5 championship, the 2025 MAC championship game. We got Miami, Ohio. We got Western Michigan at Ford Field in Detroit. Western Michigan is currently a 2.5 point favorite. They're 8-4. Miami, Ohio 7-5. Chuck Martin's Red Hawks come in here with the lackluster offense. They are 81st in scoring. They are 90th in total offense, 101st passing the ball, 69th rushing the ball. They're 117th on third downs, 34.2% conversion rate, 87th on fourth down. They're 38th in time of possession. And then on defense, the Red Hawks are a much better team. Chuck Martin's defense is 41st scoring, 28th against total defense, 47th against the pass, and a respectable 28th against the run. They only allow 118.1 yards per game. Western Michigan, who has continued to progress every year under their head coach, they come in 96th in scoring, 112th total offense, 129th passing offense. They do not throw the ball well. They're 32nd in rush offense. They're running the ball for 189.2 yards per game. 46th on third downs, 109th on fourth down, 19th time of possession. Now, their defense also very stout. 16th in scoring. They're allowing 18.7 points per game. 17th in total defense, allowing just over 302.3 yards a game. 18th in pass defense, 38th in rush defense. So, the tale of this game is defense. Both of these teams very strong on defense. This is going to probably be a very low-scoring game. Field position is probably going to be crucial. Who can establish the run better? Western Michigan is the better running team. I'm going to ride this game with the Broncos. Give me Western Michigan to win the MAC championship and punch their ticket to a good bowl game. So I'm going to take Western Michigan as your MAC champion. All right, so that leaves us with just the Power Four. Let's get going. We're going to start with the Big 12 championship game, 11 a.m. This is on ABC from Arlington, Texas. We've got BYU, number 11. We got Texas Tech at number 5. I don't know if this thing's updated. This app I'm using has not updated the rankings. I know Texas Tech's number 4. So we got BYU and Texas Tech, Big 12 championship. Winner is going to the playoff. If BYU wins, probably going to have 2 Big 12 teams in the playoff, as you should. But if that happens. All right, so here's the tale of the tale in this matchup. Let's start with, we're going to do this one a little different. Let's start with the scoring offenses. Both of these teams can score points. Texas Tech is third at 43.2 points per game. BYU is 22nd at 34 points a game. Total offense, they're both in the over 400 plus. Texas Tech is fourth at 489.2 yards a game. BYU is 43rd at 414. Passing offense, Texas Tech, huge advantage, 9th at 295.6 a game. BYU 78th at 219.5 a game. Rushing offense, they're very equal. Both were in the top 25 in rushing offense. BYU 23rd at 194.5 yards a game. They run the ball really well. Texas Tech's 25th at 193.6 a game. Third downs, excuse me, Texas Tech is 6th, 51.4% conversions. BYU 59th, 40.8. Fourth down, Texas Tech is 50th, 58.8%. BYU's 23rd at 64.3. Time of possession, obviously BYU's 9th at 33-13. Texas Tech 64th at just over 30 minutes and 7 seconds. Now, defense. Not a bad defensive matchup here as I look at these stats real quick. Scoring defense, they're both in the top 14. Texas Tech is third, allowing only 11.3 points per game. That's really good, obviously. BYU's 14th, allowing 17.8 points per game. Total defense, Texas Tech 6th, 258.9 a game. BYU 29th, 324.6. Pass defense, Texas Tech's 27th, allowing 190 a game. BYU's 46th at 205.6 yards a game. Rush defense, BYU 29th, allowing 119 yards a game. And Texas Tech, the number one rush defense in college football, they're only allowing 68.9 yards per game. So, $1 million question. Can BYU run the football against this defense? Remember, they played earlier this year in Lubbock, and Texas Tech took them to the woodshed. It was not even pretty. Yeah. I think this is going to be a closer game. BYU knows what's on the line, but I just think Texas Tech's too talented. Too much athleticism, too much speed for BYU. Their offense is going to score enough to put this game away. I like Texas Tech in this football game. Give me Texas Tech to beat BYU and we take home the Big 12 championship. All right, next up, we're gonna skip here just a little bit. We're gonna skip down to this next game, which is being played in Charlotte. The ACC championship game. We've got Duke at 7-5. You heard that right. A 7-5 team in a Power Four conference championship. Anyway, we got Duke and Virginia. Virginia's 10-2. So here's the tale of the tale in this matchup between these two. Scoring offense, both are in the top 27. Virginia's 27th at 33.2 points per game. Duke is 19th at 34.6 points per game. Total offense, Duke's 34th. Virginia's 26th, both over 420 plus a game. Passing yards, Duke is 12th in pass offense. They're throwing the ball for 289.3 a game. Virginia's 53rd. Rushing offense, Virginia's 34th at 188.7 a game. Duke's very bad, 96th. Third down conversions, Virginia's 14th. Duke is 72nd. Fourth down conversions, Duke 4th at 73.5%. Virginia 106th. Time of possession, both teams, well, Duke's 97th, but Virginia's 16th. And then you flip over to the defense. Obviously, well, looking at these numbers, Virginia's a much better defense. Duke's 97th in scoring defense. Virginia's 24th, only allowing 20 points a game. Duke is 111th in total defense. Virginia's 21st. Duke, 131st in pass defense. Yikes. They're allowing 273 a game. Virginia's 43rd. Rush defense, Virginia's 21st. Duke's 54th. They played once this year already. It was in Durham. And Virginia won that game very comfortably, 34-17. They outgained Duke 540 to 255. Sacked the quarterback 4 times, 12 and 19 on third downs. Virginia pretty much dominated the first meeting a couple of weeks ago. I think they win this football game again. I don't know if it's going to be a 17-point victory, but yeah, give me Virginia. I think we're going to avoid the chaos scenarios people are calling it just a little bit here. I like Virginia in this football game. Give me Virginia to beat Duke and take home an ACC championship for Tony Elliott and punch their ticket to the playoff. All right, 2 more games. By the way, Virginia's a 4-point favorite. 2 more games. Y'all know what 2 it is. Big Ten Championship, 7 o'clock Saturday night. This game is on Fox. You got number 1 versus number 2. How about that? Who would have ever thought you'd see this? Number 2 Indiana, number 1 Ohio State. It's so cool to see Indiana being so good at football. I love it. Kurt Cignetti's doing a great job up there. Offensively, Indiana is second in scoring. fifth in total offense, 42nd passing, ninth best rushing offense, number one in the country on third downs, converting 56.3% of their third downs. They're 102nd in fourth downs, seventh in time of possession. Indiana and Ohio State both were in the top 10 in time of possession. You don't see that very often. Indiana's seventh at 33 minutes and 40 seconds. Ohio State's third at 33:56. Ohio State's offense, 12th on fourth down conversions, second on third downs. This is number one versus number two in third down conversions on offense. Indiana's first at 56.3, Ohio State second at 56.2. Ohio State 26th passing offense, 24th in total offense, 53rd rushing offense, 13th in scoring offense. Now, flip the coin and let's look at the defenses. This is absolutely insane. We have the top two scoring defenses in college football scoring off here. Ohio State's number one, allowing 7.8 points per game. In this era of football, that is unheard of. That is crazy. Because it's so hard to stop teams these days because defenses are at a disadvantage with some of the rules. But Ohio State's making it work. 7.8 points per game allowed. Indiana, number two, they're allowing 10.9 points per game. Guys, that's a 3.1 points per game difference between one and two. That's how good Ohio State's defense is. Total defense, Ohio State number one, allowing 203 yards a game. Sick. Indiana fourth at 251.8. Pass defense, Ohio State first, only 121.3. Sick. Indiana's 14th, allowing 172.5 a game. Rushing defense, we got two of the top four rushing defenses squaring off here. Indiana is second, allowing only 79.3 a game. Ohio State's fourth at 81.7. So, after reading all of that, I have said this. Obviously, they met last year in Columbus, and Ohio State won pretty comfortably. I think this Indiana team is much, much better than last year's team. But with that said, I'm not betting against the Buckeyes. I'm not betting against that defense, that talented receiving room. Julian Sands probably a Heisman finalist, I guess. He should be. This team is just too good. Indiana's too good. They're both really good. These might be the two best teams in the country. I'm not ready to say that, but these are two really good football teams. This game will be closer than last year's. I'm pulling for you, Indiana. I really am, but I'm not betting against Ohio State here. So give me Ohio State to win this football game. I like the Buckeyes to beat the Hoosiers. All right, one more game. I think you know what game it is. 3 o'clock ABC from Atlanta. Your SEC championship, Georgia, Alabama. Winner's going to probably get a first round bye in the playoff. I know Georgia would. The question will be, of course, is if Bama loses, are they out or not? But anyway, Alabama, Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 3 o'clock. I still wish this game was in the Georgia Dome. But anyway, scoring offenses. Let's take a look at this. Georgia's 35th, Alabama's 26th. I should have brought some water. Total offense, Georgia 41st, Bama's 53rd. Passing offense, Alabama 18th, Georgia 69th. Rush offense, Georgia's 28th. They run the ball for about 190.4 yards per game. Alabama does not run the ball well. That's just Kalen DeBoer's style of offense. They're 103rd at 126.2. Alabama will run the ball when they need to, and they'll make it work, but they're just more of a pass team, it feels like to me. Third downs, both are in the top 30. Georgia's 25th at 46.4% conversion rate on offense. Bama's 29th at 46.1. Fourth downs, both these teams really strong at fourth down conversions. Georgia's fifth at 73.3% conversion rate. Alabama's 17th at 66.7. Both these teams are in the top 10 in time of possession. Georgia's fifth at 33.45. Alabama's 10th at 33.09. All right. Let's look at the tail between the two defenses. Georgia is 12th at 16.7 points a game allowed. Alabama's 11th at 16.5. The total defense. Alabama's 12th, Georgia's 13th. That's pretty even. Pass defense, Alabama's 8th, Georgia's 44th. Rush defense, Georgia, number 6 in rush defense. They're allowing 86.1 yards per game. Alabama's 36th at 124 yards a game allowed. Alabama does not run the ball well, but they can if they have to. Alabama got them back in September, if you remember, in Athens. I think it was, 27-24? Let me try to pull it up here real fast. Yeah, no, 24-21. I'm sorry. In that game, Alabama kind of controlled it a little bit, 397 to 357. They told us they outpassed them big time, 280 to 130. Alabama in that game was 13 and 19 on third downs. They played really well. Ty Simpson had a good game, 276 and two touchdowns. Um, I think this game's going to be a different outcome. Georgia has come a long way, I think, since that game. I think Georgia is peaking at the right time, and I think Georgia wins this football game. I like Georgia to knock off Alabama in this football game. Um, yeah, give me Georgia. I was thinking about it. I'm sorry. I like Georgia to win this football game. So, just one final time. Here are my conference championship picks for this coming weekend. So, I like Jacksonville State to take home Conference USA. I like James Madison to win the Sun Belt. I like Boise State to win the Mountain West. I like North Texas in the American. I like Western Michigan in the MAC. Jackson State in the SWAC. And then in the Power Four, give me Virginia in the ACC, Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game, Ohio State in the Big 10, and then, of course, Georgia in the SEC. Alrighty, guys. Well, I was wondering how far this show might go, but oh, hang on here. I don't know why that logo won't come off. I apologize. I deleted it, but now I can't get it off my screen. Huh. Hang on just a second.
Look out for y'all.
Huh. Oh well. I don't know why I can't get that off. That's kind of weird. All right, guys. Sorry you can't see my face, but guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in and checking me out. We're gonna sign off now. This is where we wanted to end it today. Next week's show, we're gonna probably go back to our regular day of Wednesday, but we might do Thursday again. I'll let you know. Next week's show, we'll review the conference championship games, and of course, playoffs will be set. We'll look at the playoff bracket plus the bowl games. If you don't care for the bowl games, that's your business. I still love bowl games, so we'll take a look at those. Um, and then, of course, we'll talk about the head coaching carousel and all the coaching changes, because hopefully by then they'll all be filled if we're lucky. All right, guys, as I always used to do, I'm going to close with a Bible verse, Psalm 145:18. The Lord is nigh unto all them that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. Amen. It's been a tough week, guys. Got a comment, I think. Let's see. Hey, Andrew. All right, good seeing you, buddy. Guys, I've had a busy week again. I'm sorry we did not do a show last week. We had so much going on. Sorry we didn't do it yesterday. I've been having to help take care of my dad. We had a little bit of a family scare. Had a lot going on. So, but it's good to be back. I've enjoyed it. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Appreciate all y'all checking in. We got double-digit viewers. I'm actually proud of that. That's really, really cool. Thank you guys for checking me out. Next week we'll review the championship games. We'll look at the playoff. We'll look at the bowl games, and we'll talk about the head coaching carousel and plus our normal stuff. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and may God bless.